There we go. And we are live with Mr. Jeff Birch from Hexek Sabers. Is it Hexek Sabers? Custom Sabers?
I think in the beginning, I was just saying Hexek Saber installations, and
Right.
then it was just Hexek Sabers.
I should know that by now. The amount of times I've seen the the intro to your videos, I'm pretty sure I've watched all of them.
Cool.
But
Thanks.
especially when you showcase your Rebecca Black font.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Tell us about yourself. When did you get into the community time wise, and what was it that kind of thrust you into it? Like, what made you want to build?
Oh, let's see. Um, I want to say it was like 2006. I think I went to a Comic-Con, and I was already a Star Wars fan. I'd had the master replicas and stuff, and I went to Comic-Con, and that was kind of my first introduction to park sabers and the fact that somebody was making these things custom and doing things to the inside that was outside of the Disney bubble or the Lucas bubble at the time. And when I went there, um, he had these like coupling sabers that were held together by magnets. I bought those two. I bought like the Luke one, and then from then on, it was those were kind of on my wall, and I kind of messed around with the master replicas ones, thinking I wonder if I could put this inside of the parks version, and I kind of ended up breaking a master replica. I think it was the Vader master replica, and then putting it into the parks, trying to squeeze it, and the boards and everything didn't fit, and all that old electronic stuff. So I'd kind of given it up for a while, and let's see, I think all the way up until maybe 2011, 2012, I just kind of had it all sitting on my wall. And that's when I started kind of sneaking around online, seeing what other people were doing. Um, I don't know why I've never been a big forum person. I would go in there and I would read stuff, and I would see what people were doing. I'd save pictures and stuff, and I'd tinker a little bit, but I never really tried it too hard until maybe 20 I guess it's 2015. I actually went out and bought like all the tools, everything, and I actually was making vape mods at the time. I really got into vaping, and I was figuring out the current and the MOSFET usage and all that stuff. And I thought, man, if I'm bending wires and I'm soldering and I'm protecting and all this stuff, that's the element that I was missing with the sabers. So my kids were, like 5 around that at the time, and I thought I should transfer this into something else. So I ended up taking one of the master replicas insides and putting it in like one of their Toys R Us specials, and it lasted like a day, and it got stepped on, and it was like, man, there's got to be something else. So then I bought a couple other used parts, put it in another Toys R Us special, and that lasted a couple days. So we ended up moving to New York in 2017, and that's when I was like, you know what, I've got all the stuff. I stopped vaping and all that stuff, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to transfer those skills into sabers. So I started, where everybody else starts, buying the Ultra Sabers and the Core Band stuff, because that was all over the place, and just started installing from there. I think from 2017, I would say was like my official, like real start, or not 17, 15, because I moved back to California in 17. So 15 was my first official start, and I was to the point where I'd get the Ultra Sabers, and it was like, man, everything can fit in this. Chassis weren't being used, and then all of a sudden, TCSS was more popular, and they had the chassis, and Genesis Custom Sabers was doing his videos, Shameen was doing his videos, and I finally started becoming more vocal in the groups in 15, 16, and just kind of went from there. I've gone up and down. I've done the 3-month master all metal builds, and I've done the quickie ones, and I just kind of felt like I squeezed myself into the just the normal sound, NeoPixel, nothing super fancy. That's just what brought me joy.
Yeah.
So here I am.
And one of the things that that I like, and you do, I recall a couple of videos specifically. One, you did a review of the Bendu Armory hilt and how everything was designed and specifically fit together. That was Andrew Wood's his design, and but you're quite the fan of taking like some random hilt and just cutting it, doing whatever you want to it to achieve your end goal, which I applaud. That's awesome. Speak to like what you like to do, or how far will you go to modify a purchased hilt?
I feel like, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like my own work, like I'll do it. Like my most recent one was the corn horn, and I really I took inspiration from Joe Hernandez in the group. He's always sharing parts that he's using. I tried his parts, and then it was like, let me add my own to it. And when I do my own thing, I always look at it and I'm like, okay, I know where I glued and drilled and tapped, and I know what isn't perfect, and I just view it differently than if it's somebody else's. So I feel like out of everything I have, I barely have anything that's like where I've done it myself, like an actual modification. Going back to 2017, David Appello in Florida, he reached out, and he was a huge supporter from the get-go, and he was like, dude, I'm going to send you a bunch of stuff, do this, and the other. And at the time it was annoying. And I told him, I'm like, dude, you sent me like 15 sabers in one package. And he's like, I just want to, I'm your drawing board, do whatever. And he was like, take a Dremel to it, try battle damage. And I'm like, man, I don't do body work. And he's like, just try it. If you mess it up, I don't care. So, he was like the one that was encouraging me to do that body type stuff. And it really kind of got me out of my shell. I would say it's not my favorite stuff to do. I like the planning. I like thinking, okay, what am I going to put here? I think up until that point where you start soldering stuff is like my favorite. But as far as modifications, I can't even remember half of them, because as soon as I was done, it was like, okay, I'll sell that one. I view my own work differently than I guess others.
Yeah, that was something that it's funny. I notice different installers. Benji Graham, for example, as he builds, he just cannot let go of them. So he ends up, like our good friend Barry Lum out of Australia. He has like the Fusk portion of his house. He has, So over here, this is where I keep all my Star Killers. Over here, this is where I keep my Graflexes. And Benji, much the same thing. Whereas you're someone who, for you, the passion's in the building. So once you complete it, how long is it going to be before you're here? It's for sale.
Yeah. That's, I grew up really poor. It was just my mom and I, and we lived out of vehicles and friends' basements and stuff, and I never really had a bunch of toys. And for me, it was like, if you wanted something, you either worked really really hard to get that, or you could leverage something that you had. And for me, it was like, I collected some cards, and I could trade in 5 to get this one that I really want right now. And I might lose value with it, But if these 5 aren't bringing me joy and I can trade it for this one that I really want right now, that's, to me, that was all that mattered. I didn't really care about the money because I didn't really have it. So when I build something, it's like, swoosh, swoosh. Hey, this is awesome. I like it. I can do a video. If my kids love it, that's one thing. But for me, it's like, okay, I'm done building it. I'll sell it to pay for something else and just keep them cycling in. And through the process, I've got stuff that, I'll probably never get rid of. My Saber Forge Acolyte that I did kind of my first heavy etch on, that's one of those that I can't get rid of. Certain like Vader's Vault ones that I didn't install, but just have special meaning. So there's some stuff that I keep, but yeah, pretty much 90% of the collection's constantly on rotation.
Yeah. You made a comment, and I was actually going to ask you what's your favorite part of building, and you said all the fun stuff once you get up to soldering. You're one of the few installers, or builders, what have you, that have you had a lot of videos on your YouTube channel, and you just hit a point, and I'm sure that you've probably done an hour-long video on it, but you just hit a point where you were like, you know what? I'm gonna just disengage from the groups a bit and do my own thing, and you stop releasing content for a while. Personally, thank you. I'm glad you're back releasing content. Not like you were, obviously, but speak about that, like stepping back from the community a bit.
Sure. So my day job, I work railroad safety, and it really is my passion. I love what I do. I love the people, wherever I happen to be, and I take it very serious. And it got to the point, I think it was pre-COVID, like the end of 19 or something. There was so much daytime job stuff going on that I ended up dialing back on the builds. There was one just killer job that I had that the customer was writing me something like 20-30 times a day, hey, what's the update? And it was like, look, you're third in line now. I'm almost done with this, and I'm taking pictures of the sabers I'm working on. And then, I'd feel guilty because, well, I'm doing a video of a review real quick because I got something new in the mail and it's going on the shelf for, a 6-month project or something. And as soon as I would post the video, there's, 20 more messages. Hey, I saw you posted this. Does that mean you're on my Saber? And then it was kind of the opposite of what I enjoyed. That specific job, they sent me every part, every chassis, wiring, everything. And they were like, here, I'm just paying you to put it all together. And the stuff that they bought was wrong. So I had to like order replacements, and they were upset over that. And it just was like, it was just so much. I didn't get the joy of being able to imagine putting it together. So between day job, between, some customers just pushing and pushing. And then, there was all this drama in the groups and everything. I was part of like 4 or 5 group messages in Facebook, and it was just ding, 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 ding. There was good jokes. There was, camaraderie. There was good people. There was, negative people. It was just so much. I finally said, you know what, I'm going to log out of Facebook, and I'm going to just, worry about my day job for a little bit. And it felt great. It felt, I had finished all my commissions. I didn't have anything that, if I was exhausted from the week from work, I didn't sit here and say, oh, I have to work on a Saturday or Sunday to get this job done. And I felt relaxed getting away from it. So I stayed away from it. Now, I guess what people don't know is I didn't really go anywhere. I had always been there. I just wasn't posting stuff. If I posted something in the group, then somebody'd jump on it. I've got a few anti fans, and they would seem to jump in everything that I would say. So I just said, you know what? I'm not going to post in a group. I'm not going to post YouTube videos. I'll pull that down. Um, I had a couple people at work say, hey, I saw your video on this, and it was like, well, if I'm not posting anymore, why keep it up? And then I guess I just got to a point this year where it was like I've got a little spare time, not a whole lot, and there is nothing that I found to substitute it. I tried RC cars with my boys, and they loved it, except for the fact that we had to lug all the stuff to the park, and then we only had like 1 hour's worth of fun. So we just kind of got back into it, and they wanted a different Saber, and I forget what it was, but I built something. I planned it. I'd had all the parts just sitting there, and I put it together, and I was like, man, I really miss this. Just focusing on the soldering and all that. I had to come back or be more vocal about it. So
And backing up the cart there with we touched on with the groups. Uh, Sit up just a little bit there. Sit forward a bit so we can see. There it is. Nerd up.
yeah,
So that was sort of that a phenomenon that took on its own steam, I guess. Uh, for those that aren't aware, because you're not as active as you are in groups anymore, let's step the wheel back about a year and a half.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was the start of COVID when you right before you stopped posting so much. Let's talk about the hashtag nerd up.
Yeah, there were just a lot of people. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, in the Star Killer group, Joe Hernandez, a couple of the other big Star Killer guys, we would post in there about a little rod, and you'd crimp the rod too much, and you'd cause a little burr, and they'd say, hey, does this look bad? And people would go, yeah, it's a little tore up, but the method in which you bent it, I think is good. You might want to try putting a washcloth around it next time you bend it, or something like that. And to me, that was like a positive way to say, yeah, you're getting there, but not quite. And I felt like that got morphed. People, I don't know if it was COVID or it started before COVID, so it couldn't have been that. But people would just go on and they'd go, that sucks. That's ugly. Why would you do that? And it was just negativity seemed to be spreading more and more. And the hatred of the brands, I think in 2018, 2019 was huge. And I did my review on Saber Forge, and I joked that I got 20 pounds or it was like 11 pounds of blade plugs or something like that. And it was like, yeah, I absolutely hated that. And, I wanted to be angry and all that, but you had to laugh. It's just, you're agreeing to buy a bag of whatever. So whatever you get, you might as well just laugh about it. But people would get so upset, and they're like, oh, I got this Saber and it's got a little burr on it, or it's got a little scratch, or, how come my package from China isn't here in 3 days? There was just so many bad things that I thought, you know what, we've got to go back to the fact that we're Star Wars fans. We've got these movies that are out. Last Jedi had so much negativity. It was dividing people. People would look at the brands and they were like, oh, you can't like this brand. You've got to go with the little guys or the big guys, whatever. And I don't even remember when it was, but I said it more as like a challenge. Like, guys, just be positive. If you don't like something, you don't have to comment about it. nerd up and be nice to each other. And it was just kind of a way that says either you're a nerd or you're not a nerd. But if you're a nerd, let's boost each other in a positive way and just have fun with it all. If you're a serious nerd that's like, oh my God, your grips are, an eighth of a mil off, hey, you can be that way, but you don't have to tear down some other guy telling him that, because not everybody's at the same level.
I think that's why, and I fall victim to that as well. I fall victim to, I mean, pretty much everyone does, except for you.
I do. I just don't put it out.
I think everyone falls victim, at least to some extent, no matter how small, to making comments and stuff like that. I try to pull myself back from it. I get sucked in again, but I think that's why I participate more in builders groups, like the Saber Builders Academy, for anyone looking to figure out how to build, install, modify, whatever, on Facebook. And of course, the fabrication cooperative that I started. In those groups, you don't see any drama. You know what I mean? So, or, the toxicity, I guess, the arguments. So, all right. One of the things I want to ask you currently, what is your favorite property in the franchise? Are you fully up to date? Oh, by the way, like visions, everything?
I am, I think, 100% up to date on everything except visions. I think I'm halfway through it because my kids weren't into it. So it was hard for me to watch it because I wanted them to be into it. So it was like, I'll wait until they're back into it. So I'm only, I think, 4 episodes in on that.
Oh,
but everything else I'm good. And I mean, they're doing great. I feel like I'm going with the Joneses with the whole Mandalorian hype. But I love the spin that Dave Filoni and all them put on it. That's, I think, my favorite so far.
I am really excited for Book of Boba Fett personally, but and on Visions, you hit me up and you let me know when you've seen that final episode.
All right. Oh
boy, or final 2, I guess. What are you most looking forward to?
So something I don't think I've told anyone. I grew up hating the whole Mandalorian Boba Fett thing.
Really?
I wasn't a Western person. My grandma would always watch Westerns, and I knew them because I had seen them all, but it was like it was just something I was never really into. So, you'd hear the gruff voice in the original movies, and it was like, I just wasn't a Boba Fett fan. It was like, oh, his armor's all dinged up, oh, he's trying to be a space cowboy. I'm just not into it. So when Mandalorian, well, I think when Clone Wars and all that hit, it was like, okay, I can like this whole Mandalorian lifestyle. And I felt like my interest had really changed because, I started off loving Star Wars, and it's kind of, just gone like this. But the whole Mandalorian thing was like, not really a fan. Wait, Clone Wars? Dark Saber? And then it's like, Mandalorian? Okay. And then it's like, oh, Ahsoka. So for me, I'm excited to see where they go with that, because I think it's on a very good trajectory. I don't want it to burn out. I'm excited for Book of Boba Fett. I want to see how that connects with everything else. But I feel like I've gone straight from not a Mando fan, anything in that era or subject, to now I'm just super hyped to see that.
Yeah. I would. The obvious answer for me, the thing I'm looking forward to the most, the absolute most, is the Obi-Wan series. But that's because, for me personally, when the Clone Wars animated series, not the original one, that had like what, one season of 8 episodes or something, but the actual Clone Wars with Ahsoka. That came on right as I sort of, my wife and I had already had our first child, and we were working on our second, well, had our second child. So I would take my oldest son out to the garage so it was quiet, and I had a big TV out there at the time, and we would watch Clone Wars and crank it up, and it was him and I. Woo! We wave around the cheap plastic. I can't even remember who made them. You know the ones I'm talking about. There was a Grievous one you could spin around. Anyhow, and we could get out there and act foolish, and have a root beer float or whatever. And so I really got into the was it James Arnold Taylor?
Yeah,
the voice actor.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and they treated the character so perfectly, and the relationship between him and Anakin, and him and Ahsoka, like the whole thing, just to watch that play out. So Obi-Wan is life for me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
no, me too. I'm looking forward to it.
And I love Ewan McGregor. So
yeah. Have you seen his Long Way Around, Long Way Up, Long Way Down?
Yep. There's 3 of them, I think, now. Yep. There's Long Way Up. Long Way Around was the one where he did the bike trip through Mongolia and Russia. Yeah. He stopped and he was having like dinner and drinks with what's his buddy's name? Sam? No. With the Russian gangsters anyway. Charlie. Yeah. And then the last one, he rode the electric Harleys from, I want to say it was like the tip of Argentina or something to LA.
Yeah. Great shows.
There's another person that just like his passion for when he is really into something. Oh, and his daughter. I had no idea.
Yeah.
For those of you that aren't aware of what we're talking about, Ewan McGregor did it. He rides motorcycle like Keanu Reeves. And he's done 3 huge, massive tours where he just gets on a bike with his buddy Charlie, and they ride like, I think that last one was 2,000 miles or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think the longest one was when they went from Scotland all the way into Europe, went through, like you said, Mongolia and all that, and then came in through Alaska, down through Canada, and all the way to New York. I mean, that's got to be the longest one.
Yeah, they landed in Vancouver, I believe, and they had to wait a couple of days for the bikes to drop, and then continued to, So anyhow, I had no idea that he adopted the girl from, is it the first or the second one or something, as his daughter. Yeah. The girl that he met in some little village. Anyhow.
Jen, or I forget her name, but yeah, that was really neat. We saw the most recent one first, where he talks about adopting her, and then it was like he did 2 others, and we went back and then watched the first and the second one, and it's just it's awesome. I love the show.
The first one was absolutely wild, and at the time that came out, I was still riding motorcycles, so for me, I enjoyed it for 2 reasons. But when they were going through Mongolia, I mean, you're just like literally white knuckling and watching. It's that they're riding through dirt and the bikes are falling down, they're crashing, and you're like they don't have a safety net at all. So
yeah, great shows. I've been a long time rider myself. And
really?
Yeah. Just for me, I think the hook was the electric bike. Like I was like, yeah, right. And once they started on that journey, it was like, okay, I want to see these bikes fail. And then it became more entertaining for the whole journey. So yeah, I've been riding since the Marine Corps in 03, 02.
Yeah. Oh, really? You were in the Marines in 02, eh?
Yeah, 99 to 03.
Right about the time I was in college. Good to know. Absolutely pointless, but good to know. Should say hi to Pete McGill.
Yeah, I just saw their comments.
And Cole Weathers wants your shirt. Take it off right now. Put it, box it up.
No way. So this is a test shirt. I I figured I'd try it out. Everybody else was doing it, so I've got a shop set up, and I just got these while I was gone out of town. I need to change, like, this green has, it's a little bit too wide. I got a couple other ones. This is like a hidden meaning shirt. It's Kiraman Katabin. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's in the Muslim faith. You have a guardian angel in front of you and behind you, and on your shoulders. Everybody's seen it in cartoons, but you never really knew the origin. On your shoulders, you have that good angel, bad angel, but they are the record keepers. They are the ones that are watching everything that you do, keeping record. One keeps record of good, one keeps record of bad. So I have one Facebook group on one side and one Facebook group on the other, and then my page in the middle. So it's very subjective. You decide which is which.
I won't ask you here, but you shoot me that in PM because I want to bet money on it.
Yeah, but it's subjective. One could be good for you and one could be bad for you, and it's going to be completely different for everybody else. But the point is, it's two of the biggest groups that are out there. You'll be entertained in either one, and then they're in the middle, not on one side or the other, not on bad or good. Is just me hanging out in the middle over the heart, because it's just what I love.
Yeah. So as far as the I ask everyone from where tech has come from and where it's the direction it's heading, where they want to see tech headed in the future, which, I mean, that's anyone's best guess, right? So what I will do is I will ask you, what are your thoughts on the, because I haven't watched it yet, but they just released another video, something about that Disney Saber with the scrolling, whatever.
Yeah. I read that. They said you'll never be able to touch it.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be what do they call them? The actors that play the characters at the parks. They're the ones that are going to be carrying it.
Okay. I had heard of that from the one 6 months or a year or whatever it was ago, but I'll have to get caught up and watch whatever was posted like 2 days ago. But so are you a fan of people trying to figure that out or pursue it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of anything in the hobby, whether it's something that I'm going to buy or not. I think if somebody could figure that out, hey, great. My little pea brain, I can't figure out how that would be. I feel like kind of like Teslas right now. If you were to say what's going to be the next big evolution in cars, it's hard, because I think we're in this current boost of evolution into the EV world and stuff. So it's hard to say what the next one is going to be. Well, I feel like we just went through the NeoPixel and the smooth swing boom, and that's still getting there. People are, hey, there's Tom.
Hey, Tom. He's finally talking to the real Canadian.
Yeah. And I'm up for whatever's next. I want to see personally what I think I'm going to invest in. I've really liked this whole interchangeable system. I think one of the most underrated guys in the entire community right now is Tim McDonley, I think his name is. He does the universal chassis system, and I've done a couple reviews, but I've got like 6 Sabers that take this same plug-in chassis, and you save a ton of money. You get to play with different things. I want to see something like that, and I'm sure I could probably make it if I thought it up, where you plug that into the charger, or you're able to just sit a Saber somewhere and it charges. You never have to pull anything out. the less stuff exposed, the better. So I think things that make it easier for you to enjoy the hobby faster and more frequently, I think those are the things that I'm looking at.
Have you looked at Gary Morris's mining colony house at all?
Mining colony? No.
He has. He's the guy that does. He runs Outer Rim Outposts. He does like the very high end custom sabers, like really, really delicate, fine detailed stuff, like almost getting up on the level of harp kind of thing. That system. So he has the Outer Rim Outpost, which is his custom stuff, and Mining Colony, which I interviewed him. He was, I think, my first interview. But anyhow, his hilts are like that, very modular. So you have your installed chassis, which actually threads into the base using the chassis PCB, pin PCBs. So you can go on his Etsy site if you decide you're tired of the grip section or whatever, or not grip, main, emitter. You decide you want a different piece, you just go buy it, wire it up, boom, you thread it together, and you can. So you drop an extra 60 or 70 bucks for a new piece machine, install the switches, boom, there's your new center section. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very similar to Tim's system. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I just order the little connectors. So here's 3 more connectors. You order pretty much a Saber Forge size, the 1.10, and then the MHS 1.24, I think, or 2.5. And you can plug these in just about anything. And all I got to do is worry about the NeoPixel, the switch, and then put this plug in there, and I've got a whole new working Saber. It kills my normal business practice of building something and then getting rid of it, because I can't sell one that doesn't have a built chassis in it, or I can't sell an empty Saber that's got, the switch plug in it. So I'm kind of stuck keeping those, but darn.
Yeah. The comments are going crazy here a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, because I know you have a lot to do this afternoon, Jeff and I got up last night briefly and talked about getting on this today. I took a break for a bit. I had some issues with some joints and stuff, and operating a mouse full time, it was kind of uncomfortable doing the discs on the weekend. So anyhow, is there anything that you want to say while you have the conch?
Sure. So I think just the overall nerd up thing that I've said in the past, I just echo it in a different way. There's a lot of really good people that are out in the community. There's a lot of really smart people. There's a lot of very, very, very young people. And those young people, the 12 to 21-year-olds that are just now getting into stuff and realizing that these things do this, if they go into the groups and they reach out to you and they've got a bad taste, that's the next generation. If nobody motivated Scott to make his own boards, NEC Scott, he would have never done that. And him doing that advanced the rest of the industry because it was competition. And he may not be around selling the boards now, but his contribution to the industry was huge. And all of these people that are coming in, we've got to be nice. We've got to share. We've got to encourage. I used the wife analogy. I think my wife is the most beautiful woman on the face of the earth. She's the love of my life. I can't imagine being with anybody else. But if you don't feel that way, I'm not going to hate you for it. It's my wife, just like people have their own wives. But it doesn't mean that you have to say, dude, your wife is ugly. Be supportive, and if you don't want to say, oh, she's pretty and fake it, then just say, hey, there's nothing wrong with just saying hi or just keeping your mouth shut. for a positive reason or encouraging somebody. I think if we don't watch how we're interacting with these new people, understanding that just because my circle that's been around for 5, 10, 15 years, Larry Randall's circle that's been around for 15, 20 years, and this other guy's circle that just popped up in the group, it's the same size circle, it's the same name, but there's different time periods behind the people, different education levels, different maturity levels. Don't just think somebody writing with a circle in their name, knows everything about it and you need to put them down. So we really need to encourage each other and be positive about it. I mean, we're nerds. Enjoy this stuff.
I am a nerd. So, okay, Jeff. Well, on that note, nerd up.
Yep.
You know what? I'm probably going to get off here and be like, because like I said, I wasn't going to write any questions or anything down for today. Just wing it because it's more fun, to be honest. I'm probably going to get off here and be like, oh man, there was like 8 more things I wanted to ask, but that's all right. That's all right. Now that I've got you on here once, I'm going to tell everyone Jeff will be back again.
Sure. Anytime.
See what I did there? Just obligated, dude. That's the kind of guy I am, Jeff.
No problem at all. Hey, as long as my schedule's open, no problem.
Well, appreciate it, Jeff. You have a good afternoon. Thanks, everyone, for tuning up. Cole Weathers, Nerd Up.
Tom, Pete, Cole.
Nerd Up. Thanks for tuning in. May the force be with you, Jeff, and you have a good afternoon.
All right, you too. See you guys all in the group.
See you in the group, bud.